What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Film Fan Reviews. I'm Steve, and this is your first time here, then.
Welcome to my life.
So last week, I went away from spooky season to do that Spider-Man video, which if you haven't watched, please check it out. I worked really hard on it, but jumping back into spooky season, I want to talk about a movie that I've watched a number of times, watched all the sequels a number of times, and that is the 1978 Halloween, made by John Carpenter. Now, this movie is definitely like top 5 horror movies of all time for me. It could even fight for the spot of being number 1 right next to Nightmare on Elm Street because I've also seen both movies in theaters and adore them so much. I think they're both masterpieces, and John Carpenter got something really special here because he had a crew of people that worked really hard for probably no money. I know it was a really low budget, can't remember the exact number at the moment, but it was a very low budget movie. And they ended up making something that made millions of dollars and put practically nothing into it except for their hard work and dedication. And it shows because there's some masterful horror in here where Michael's just standing there in the background. We reveal Michael a bunch of times without showing him, so it's not as scary, and they show him from far away, so he's always a menacing shape, which they talk about a lot in the movie. I think he's even credited as the shape in the movie. And it's a really interesting, bare bones, simple story that it wasn't the first slasher ever made, but it definitely put that genre on the map for sure and kind of made it a mainstream blockbuster genre, really. So with all that, I want to talk about some of my favorite scenes. And the first thing I want to talk about is those opening credits with the pumpkin. I really love it when it's not just the opening scene and the credits just keep popping up every now and then. Stuff like this, and especially with this being called Halloween, doing the pumpkin and everything like that. And I guess the eye and the nose of the pumpkin are kind of like Michael Myers holding the knife, I guess. I think that's rumored. I don't know if it's exactly true, but it's pretty cool, and I like it, so if that's really what happened, kudos to whoever did that, but I like the opening credits, and we move straight into the POV shot with this glide cam, which this is one of the first times the glide cam was used. It's kind of like the competitor to the Steadicam, and it's pretty cool. I think it's like the 4th movie that they used it on, and you get that opening shot of Michael grabbing the knife and everything and going up to his sister's room, and it's a continuous shot throughout, and I think that's so cool when you can do something like that, especially in the year 1977, I believe is when they probably filmed, maybe even 76, I don't know, but regardless, doing those kind of shots is still difficult today, and I think it's really cool when it's pulled off this well, and that shot is iconic, and people talk about it. We talk about it in film school when I was there. It's just really cool, so anyway, we get up there and he gets his first kill, and it's really goofy because he keeps looking back at his hand while he's stabbing his sister, and it's really funny, but it's also super violent and just crazy because especially back then, I bet a lot of audiences weren't expecting anything this graphic. So my favorite part of this scene still is the ending when we're craning up away from them, and Michael's parents are like, "Michael, what did you do? What are you doing?" And the mom sticks her hands in her pockets and she looks like she's very upset, but not upset that her other kid just got murdered, but that her son got into the cutlery drawer and got into her stuff. She's not very happy. It's very awkward. They're just standing there silently while the camera just cranes up away from them. And I don't know, it just makes me laugh every time I watch it. I don't know if it's demented, but it's just funny. So it's 15 years later, and Dr. Sam Loomis is going to see Michael go to a new facility, and when he gets there, he realizes that there was a prison break in the sanatorium, and realizes that Michael is out. So he tries to go and see what's going on. The nurse that's with him ends up getting her car broken into by Michael, and Michael steals the car. And when Michael killed his sister and went into this sanatorium, he was probably 6 years old, I think, 8 years old, something in there, and 15 years later, he somehow knows how to drive this car immediately away from them. It's just silly stuff like this that you kind of want to overlook because of how good the movie is, but there's just funny details that I catch, and it's just a fun time to kind of look and laugh at what passed for so long that a lot of people just ignore because it's just a fun movie. It doesn't take away from it in any way of how iconic this movie is, but just silly stuff like that if you're a real big fan and you start to notice these things, you can get more and more enjoyment when you watch it, you know? And after Michael breaks out, we get all those iconic scenes of him like staring at Lori through windows, and he disappears all of a sudden when she looks away, and then even the one where she's in her bedroom and she's still staring out the window, but somehow he disappears while she's still looking out the window. That shot always makes me laugh a lot because I don't know what happened there. It's just an editing mistake, I'm guessing, but Jamie just keeps looking out the window, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and that's when she looks away. Like, and she doesn't mention anything on the phone that I can remember. So it's really awkward, and it's just fun stuff that you notice. Like, I definitely didn't notice a lot of this stuff in the first few viewings, but as I've said, I probably watch this movie at least 2 times a year in October, so when you start to watch it that many times, you start to catch little tiny mistakes that are honestly not even mistakes in my eyes. They're just kind of little fun details that they might not have seen when they were making a movie, because I make mistakes in these videos all the time. I mean, you just see that? Was it a mistake? Was it on purpose? You won't know. So another little fun fact about this movie is the cinematographer on this movie, which, if you don't know, that's also the director of photography, or the person who's in charge of making the movie look pretty. And that man was Dean Cundy. Now, you might know Dean Cundy from his amazing work on Garfield and Jack and Jill. No? Alright, well, he also worked on some amazing movies like Jurassic Park and all 3 Back to the Future movies, so he is one of the best cinematographers that I've ever looked into for sure. I mean, there are many men out there, but he's made some classics. And I actually did a research paper when I was in college on Dean Cundy, and I got to kind of study the kind of like innovations that he's made. Like, obviously with the glide cam, he was one of the first ones to kind of innovate that and make that into something that has become a staple of filmmaking today. And he just has some really fun, warm movies, but also, as you can see in Halloween, he definitely can capture that dark and really like, just capturing Michael and making him like the villain he is today, and how people see him is all thanks to Dean Cundy, and especially the actor that played Michael, Nick Castle. Together making those shots and making Michael look as creepy and just like big and hulking as he is, it's just so cool. And that's very much to Dean Cundy lighting those scenes and framing Michael in those ways. So big props to Dean Cundy. He is the man. And yes, he did shoot Camp Rock as well, but Jurassic Park is forgivable on all accounts. I also love that when Lori and her friend are smoking in the car and they drive up right to her cop father, literally putting out the weed seconds ago, and somehow he doesn't notice. Very funny to me. But the funniest part about the hardware scene is Loomis is standing on the corner looking at the hardware scene after he just talked to the cop, and Michael drives right behind him. Literally, you can see his face. Like, I didn't notice this until a couple years ago, but it's the funniest thing ever, because you just see the car, you know the car because he's driving around all the time, and you see him in the background of a bunch of shots. But this one is the funniest one because Loomis is specifically looking for this car that he was in at the beginning of the movie, and Michael. Both things are literally right behind him, and he didn't notice. And it's just so brilliant. Big props to John Carpenter, whoever's idea that was, to just have Michael drive past, because it is so much fun to see that. And just know that Loomis was so close yet so far to just completing his mission less than halfway into the movie. And obviously the big highlight of this movie is all the iconic kills that Michael has in this movie. So we have Annie in the car outside. He strangles her, and her cartoonish face while she's getting strangled is always really funny to me. And then she just like leans on the horn, just like, very funny every time. We have Bob, who gets killed by the butcher knife being stabbed into him and hung up on the wall. Not very possible physics-wise, but hey, it looked cool, so. And after Bob, we have Bob's girlfriend Linda, who is waiting for him, and Michael does his iconic scene of dressing up like Bob's ghost and going back in, and then Linda lets her guard down, tries to call Lori on the phone, and then Michael strangles her. Now, it might sound like I'm making fun of this movie, but it is the furthest thing from it. I adore this movie. I like laughing at it because it is dated at some points. Yeah, it's silly. It's a horror movie, and horror movies are inherently silly for the most part. There are some that are very serious and interesting. I mean, like Hereditary, you can't really call that a silly movie, but it's just fun to look at all these kills, and I've seen them so many times that they're not really scary anymore, so I think it's a blast to watch. If you've never seen these movies, please do so. I mean, the quality kind of goes down as you go through the movies. My personal favorites are Halloween 1 and the third movie. I know a lot of people are kind of like mixed on that one because it doesn't star Michael Myers. It's kind of like they wanted to make an anthology movie, and I think it's an interesting take and all the mask stuff. I enjoy the movie for the most part, and even though none of them are canon anymore, it's kind of fun to watch where the series went. But again, this movie's great. The Halloween movie that came out in 2018 or 2019 or whatever it came out, 2018. That movie I thought was fantastic. I loved it, and I cannot wait for Halloween Kills. I was hoping for it last year. Obviously, we did not get that, but fingers crossed, pretty sure we're about to get it this year, and I cannot wait. So that's it for today, guys. I love this movie. I hope you do too. Check out Halloween Kills when it comes out, because I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be insane. I will talk about it on this channel for sure. Yeah, if you like it, please like this video so it'll go up and more people will see it. Share it if you want to, that's even better. Comment your thoughts on the Halloween series, this video, what you think Halloween Kills is gonna be like. Don't share any spoilers or anything down there, that'd be kinda lame, but let's just chat about horror movies. That's my favorite thing to talk about. And yeah, follow me on my Letterboxd. I didn't put out a new episode of my podcast this week, but we're gonna get back on that. Follow me on that, and yeah, subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for watching.